Hello, fourth grade geographers. Welcome back to our geography unit. Today we are up to lesson 5 and we will be exploring latitude and longitude, also relative versus absolute location. Let's get started. Let me present my screen so you can see what I see. And let me present that. Perfect. So lesson 5, longitude and latitude. Location can be described in two ways. Absolute means very specific, coordinates on a map using longitude and latitude, or it could even be an address. So you can always remember, I am absolutely sure where this is. Mount Pleasant School is at 10 Manchester Street, Nashua, New Hampshire, 03064. That's an address. We know exactly where Mount Pleasant School is in the world. Versus relative, where something is related to something else. Example, my house is 3 houses down from George's house, or Mount Pleasant School is close to Janot's. Okay, it is, but that doesn't tell us exactly where the school is. If it's relative location, we're not exactly sure where it is. If it's absolute location, we are absolutely sure where our school is. Remember, are you absolutely sure that it is where it is? So how do we determine absolute location? Since Earth is round, we use a system of imaginary lines in degrees to measure distances from the halfway points. The halfway points are the equator, which is from east to west, 0 degrees, and the prime meridian, which runs north to south at 0 degrees. So if we look here as a visual, the equator divides the world into halves called hemispheres. The top is the northern hemisphere, the bottom is the southern hemisphere. We live in the northern hemisphere. So here is a photo of a person with 1 foot in the northern hemisphere and the other in the southern hemisphere. The line in the middle represents the equator. So this person is literally standing in 2 places at once. The prime meridian divides the worlds into halves this way, called hemispheres, the eastern hemisphere and the western hemisphere. Now remember, we live in the western hemisphere. A lot of times I get people thinking eastern hemisphere, maybe because we live in the northeast, I don't know, but we live in the western hemisphere. So let's see a fun little video about latitude and longitude.
Map makers draw imaginary lines on maps and globes. Some of these lines are long, and they go all the way from the bottom of the map to the top. These long lines are called lines of longitude. Other lines are flat and go sideways. These flat lines are called lines of latitude.
The Earth's equator is a line of latitude. It is an imaginary line which divides the northern part of the planet, or hemisphere, with the southern part of the planet, or southern hemisphere. The prime meridian is a line of longitude. It goes up and down. It is the starting line for all of the other lines of longitude. These lines of latitude and longitude have numbers and directions, so we can pinpoint an exact location.
Or an absolute location. So remember, longitude is long. That's always a good way to remember it. Latitude instead goes across. So here again is another view of longitude and latitude. Again, longitude and latitude gives us coordinates, which gives us an absolute location. We are absolutely sure where on Earth we are. So absolute location, it can be described using coordinates of longitude and latitude, which is a set of numbers. You read it like this. First, you read the lines of latitude, and then you read the lines of longitude. So an example of that would be if you saw 14 degrees north, 10 degrees west, you know that's an absolute location. Using the grid system, we could pinpoint exactly where we are on planet Earth. We can also describe things or locate things in relative terms. Remember, relative terms means I'm not really sure, but it's around the area. So some examples would be City Hall is near CVS on Main Street. Janot's Market is down the road a ways. Shattuck Street Park is next to Shattuck Apartments. Can we tell exactly where these places are? No, we can't because it's relative location. So think relative relationship, how something relates to something else. Are we absolutely sure where it is? No, we're not. So let's talk about the Empire State Building in absolute and relative location. If we were going to give the absolute location of the Empire State Building, we could say it's 40 and 7/10 degrees north, 74 degrees west. It sits at the intersection of 33rd Street and 5th Avenue in New York City, New York. We are absolutely sure where it is. The relative location might be described as the Empire State Building is about 15 blocks from New York Central Park. So if I give you the relative location, you might be able to find the Empire State Building, but you're not absolutely sure where it is in the world. So today, you are going to complete a Google form on relative versus absolute location. It's going to be so simple. I'll show you all about it. Let's pull up the Google form that you will be seeing today. Oops. All right, we want this one. So, oh no. Well, I will have, oh, there it is. So here it is, Remote Geography Lesson 5. So as always, you are going to put your name. That's so whomever your homeroom teacher is, Mr. Castor, Mrs. Palermo, or myself, we can give you credit for completing this. So here we have the forest is next to the lake. You're going to tell me, is that relative or is that absolute location? Am I absolutely sure where that forest is? The city of Dallas is at 32 degrees 47 north and 96 degrees 47 west. Is that relative or absolute location? Am I absolutely sure where that city is? My house is behind the store. Relative or absolute? Am I absolutely sure where that house is? Mount Pleasant is at 10 Manchester Street, Nashua, New Hampshire, 03064. Is that relative or absolute? Am I absolutely sure where Mount Pleasant School is? The river empties into the Gulf of Mexico. Is that relative or absolute? Am I absolutely sure where that river is? Jake's house is down the road from Grilly Park. Is that relative or absolute? Am I absolutely sure where Jake's house is? The mayor works at City Hall, located at 229 Main Street, Nashua, New Hampshire. Is that relative or absolute? Am I absolutely sure where that mayor works? So today, you are going to complete the Google form for your homeroom teacher. And I'll see you next time for Lesson 6 of Geography. Bye!